down the walkway, lead me to the building. Fuck you.
It's a double rainbow all the way.
I like turtles.
My spoon is too big.
What is that mysterious ticking noise?
Leave Billy alone. Bing bing bam dum dum bum dum bam bum 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 bum.
What's going on?
Hello and welcome to the Meme Cemetery. Buckle up because we have a lot in store for today's first episode. You will be hearing me talk for a very long time about the crazy frog. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase and get it rolling before you all leave me. You can find episodes on many platforms. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Music, and others. On YouTube, you will be getting the spicy visuals that I spent way too much time editing. So please, oh my god, watch it. I just want to do a little disclaimer real quick. All of this information is purely based off my own observations and quick research. I do not consider myself a music critic or all-knowing of music. I'm more interested in this topic on a much broader, big picture level in its history, and mostly in relation to the meme. If I say something that seems inaccurate, it's because I have relatively surface level knowledge and do not claim to be all-knowing about this topic. And so forgive me if I gloss over something that is more important to you. Anyways, let's begin. Who is the crazy frog? Is he the crazy frog? What about him? Is he the crazy frog? Am I the crazy frog? He, she, we, the crazy frog? Are we all the crazy frog? Let's find out. So it all started back in 1997 when Swedish student Daniel Maldal recorded himself imitating the noises of a two-stroke engine. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay, because neither did I. And apparently it's a type of engine they use in handheld applications like chainsaws and have been used in dirt bikes too. He posted this on a website which grabbed the attention of a Swedish television researcher who asked him to perform the engine noises live on television. The noises from TV were spread around on different file-sharing websites, which is a very funny sentence and phrase to hear in the year 2021. The song later ended up on a single-serving website named The Insanity Test. In such old meme fashion, you can see right here. Raffle, am I right, guys? In 2003, Swedish animator Erik Wernquist created a 3D animation on the Lightwave 3D modeling application and called it The Annoying Thing. And this is the character from the classic video that we all know and love. Maybe. Or at least have seen. The animation was posted on turboforce3d.com. From my understanding, this seemed to be a forum where you could post videos, animations, and little games. Correct me if I'm wrong or missing anything important, because I was a very tiny bean back in 2003 and was not really on the internet much unless I was playing the 101 Dalmatians game on my parents' PC. You also have to remember this is right before YouTube was a thing, so they had to use websites like this for sharing content. The song used in the background of this video was called In Rock 8-Bit, produced by Bodenstendig 2000. To clarify, this isn't the Axel F. Crazy Frog song that we all know. In 2004, Jamba, or known as Jamster in the US, which was a business that created and marketed ringtones for mobile devices, used the background sound from the video as a ringtone and renamed the audio The Crazy Frog, which apparently the original animator Wernquist did not like this. To quote him, "If I had known that this was going to be such a big thing, I would not have allowed them to use that stupid name. It has nothing to do with the character. It's not a frog, and it's not particularly crazy either." Now we're finally at what I'd like to think most people know about, which is the creation of the song titled Crazy Frog XLF in 2005 by Bass Bumpers and Offcast Project. The song covers and remixes Harold Faltermeyer's XLF that was famous for being used in Beverly Hills Cop from 1984, and also uses the vocals from the Crazy Frog video that I mentioned previously. A Swedish animation company called Cactus Film worked with Wernquist to create a music video for the song, which was uploaded to the Crazy Frog Vivo channel in 2009. The video got over 1 billion views on YouTube. The song debuted at number 1 in the UK in 2005, making it the first ringtone to make it to mainstream music charts. I'm unsure if this is still true today, but apparently the Crazy Frog ringtone made more money than any other ringtone at the time of its peak. Even if you go on the Jamba or Jamster Wikipedia page, it still seems to be widely known for its spread of the Crazy Frog. So, why did everybody hate this song? I will tell you. One of the reasons why the song was able to have such an enormous success is because of the aggressive amount of advertisements for the ringtone. I'm just gonna quote the Wikipedia page because I hate putting anything with numbers in my own words. But, in quote, according to The Guardian, Jamster bought 73,716 spots across all TV channels in May alone, an average of nearly 2,378 slots daily, at a cost of about £8 million, just under half of which was spent on ITV. 87% of the population saw the Crazy Frog advertisements an average of 26 times. 15% of the advertisements appeared twice during the same advertising break, and 66% were in the consecutive ad breaks. An estimated 10% of the population saw the advertisement more than 60 times. This led to many members of the population finding the Crazy Frog, as its original name suggests, immensely irritating. End quote. Growing up in the US, I honestly don't remember seeing the ad for this ringtone that often, but that's probably because it was mostly playing on channels like MTV, and I was still watching Nick and Disney at the time, or whatever else. Apparently, if you lived in the UK or Germany, you couldn't watch TV without seeing an ad for the ringtone at least 3 times. It would sometimes even see it multiple times within one commercial break. That's a lot of Crazy Frog. So much that people complained, and for a couple different reasons. More than 200 people complained to the ASA, the Advertising Standards Agency, about how often it was on TV. Other people complained about how these ads were targeted towards children because they aired on channels like MTV and German Viva and were very misleading. Jamba got some heat for not making it very clear that they would be signing up for a subscription instead of just buying one ringtone, and made it difficult to unsubscribe. On the other hand, 60 people complained to the ASA saying that the Crazy Frog animation was inappropriate because you could see the character's private area, if you know what I mean. The ASA didn't uphold this complaint, but Jamba did decide to voluntarily blur or pixelate the area of concern in later advertisements. There was something done about how often the advertisements aired. September of 2015, the ASA ruled that the Crazy Frog ads, along with other Jamba advertisements in general, could not be aired before 9 p.m. This also worked, I believe, to resolve the issue with advertising to children. One of the most interesting things about this whole situation to me is how the way this song became popularized would not happen today. Ringtone businesses are pretty much non-existent today, and most, like Jamster, have been bought out and turned into something completely different. For example, Jamster was bought by News Corporation and is now part of the Fox Mobile Entertainment assets, apparently, according to Wikipedia. When the iPhone was released, it made a lot of ringtone companies obsolete because of how easy it was to download a ringtone from iTunes. It seems so silly, but this song was part of history that cannot be repeated due to a shift in the market. I don't think we will ever see a song become popularized in the same way again, as streaming has pretty much taken over the music industry. Which leads me to my next very exciting point. There is a huge wave of nostalgia right now for the 2000s. I'm seeing Y2K makeup and fashion tutorials, people regressing back to their emo or scene phases, especially as this stuff is becoming what is trendy again. I've seen TikToks of teenagers talking about how they wish they were a teen in the 2000s. Weird. I saw a TikTok where someone pointed out how the cyberpunk style of the late 1980s and early 90s is making a huge comeback. Well, all of this follows the 20-year rule of fashion, meaning that something that was popular 20 years ago will become popular again. We're sort of living in the state of retro futurism as old Nokias and Motorola flip phones with sparkly bubblegum pink backgrounds on aesthetic accounts fill my Explore page on Instagram. I do see this in fashion, but also in music as well, with its own 2020s spin. The 2000s in general and the music at the time was pretty obsessed with technology. If you consider songs like Technologic by Daft Punk or Digital Love, Kiss Me Through the Phone, Rihanna's Shut Up and Drive, popularization of autotune by artists like T-Pain, Kesha, especially on Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks, MIA's music, Missy Elliott's Miss E's So Addictive, 303, and the list can go on for a very long time. And now that I think about it, this makes total sense. Although 20 years later we look back at the technology of the 2000s and maybe laugh, it was actually an extremely pivotal point for technological advancements. The internet became more accessible, we got Apple products like iPods, iPhones, we got Androids, MySpace, then Facebook, YouTube, and so much more. It kind of felt like a technological peak, and a lot of these 2000s inventions were the starting point for other technology and social media platforms that we have today. I'm willing to say that both the 2000s and 2020s have a general artistic and social influence similar to Futurism, which was a social and artistic movement that started in Italy in the early 20th century and was very focused on speed, technology, youth, violence, cars, airplanes, and industrialism. As I did some more digging into Futurism and its subcategories, it kind of dawned on me that no matter what decade, there has always been some subculture interested in futuristic aesthetics, whether that be cyberpunk, steampunk, retrofuturism, afrofuturism, cybergoth, vaporwave. You could definitely name some more. Probably ones that I don't even know of, honestly. Crazy Frog started from a guy mimicking the sound of an engine. We were obsessed with the amount of technology we had in our hands, we talked about it, we represented that in our music, and I feel like popularizations of genres like hyperpop and EDM today are seeing very similar themes. I found an article from 2005 on theglobeandmail.com, which was a Canadian media company, still is, not was, written by Russell Smith, which talked about the infamous Crazy Frog song and some of the annoyances it caused, but also its relevance in regards to the music industry. In the article, he talks about how the song is technically a smash-up of one of those textbook postmodernisms that overlays two pieces of music, usually of incongruous genres, which is basically his very fancy way of saying that the song sampled another song. Sampling is a whole other history in of itself, but I'm willing to say that the popularization of this has its roots in hip-hop from the 1970s and 80s by vinyl manipulation. Like most of our music history, we have Black creators to thank for these innovations. After vinyl sampling came digital sampling, first used by Stevie Wonder, and the rest is constantly seen in music today. The article mentions Malcolm McLaren, who is an artist, performer, and apparently managed the Sex Pistols. Talks about his general distaste for the Crazy Frog song and even refers to listening to it as the death of the traditional music industry. The writer of the article suggests that it's not such a bad thing, and more so indicative of a shift in the music industry where, quote, anyone can make and distribute music almost entirely for free. He also mentions how soon, quote, more appliances will have memory banks that are able to talk to each other, so things like TV, radio, and cell phone will meld. And well, he's definitely right. We have iCloud now, which you can virtually store anything on and switch between different devices. Same with Google Drive. There's a lot of ways to store your content or information online nowadays that doesn't involve any physical object. Same with the initial point. As it's become so much easier to create music in our current time, all you really need is enough money to buy a DAW, free YouTube tutorials, and boom, you could become a producer. And with so many music streaming services, it's even easier to get your music out there as an independent artist than in previous years. I'm willing to argue that this isn't exactly free, like he says, due to the pretty high cost of professional DAWs and other production equipment, but in general, it is much more accessible and cheaper when it comes to wanting to create and share music, which I think is really a great thing. One of the more outstanding points that he makes in the article brings me back to one of my earlier points of how the 20-year rule is bleeding into music. Quote, it illustrates how contemporary music taste moves increasingly towards the eclectic to the mixed up and heterogeneous, and it shows how technology has made the whole idea of distinct musical genres seem quaint and passé. It illustrates how the line between advertising and entertainment is now at least invisible, if not completely non-existent. And all the people who are making photographs of people who look like plastic dolls or photographs of plastic dolls that look like people or machines, there seems to be a repeated attempt in much recent art to duplicate with bodies what machines do, or to duplicate with machines what bodies do. Which brings me to my next and one of my final points, I swear.
Hey, you little piss baby.
This is sort of off topic, but it is an observation that I want to point out. I mentioned before, 20-year rule reflecting in music today. You get it, yeah. We especially see it in genres like hyperpop and industrial rap, for example. Rico Nasty's iPhone and the entire music video, it's definitely referencing or emulating what that guy was talking about, trying to make everything look like robots and that sort of thing. We have Slater's self-titled mixtape with songs that are very reminiscent of 2000s pop anthems with an edgy twist. You can see it on songs like E-Boy or Her and That Kid's Dial Tone. Really remind me of Crazy Frog. And That Kid's music in general, like he has his own rendition of Kiss Me Through the Phone. We have 100 Gex in general, pretty much all of their music. Charlie XCX's music, Charlie XCX with 100 Gex, the song Ringtone. You have Shy Girl's music, more industrial rap, but definitely still 2000s inspo. And all this type of music was pioneered by the famous composer, Sophie. It's insane that when I first wrote this, she was still alive, but she left a legacy of incredible music, and her influence will continue to shine on. All of this music emulates the characteristics of this industrial, futuristic sound that I'm referring to that is also seen in Crazy Frog and its video. Am I saying that the Crazy Frog influenced this entire genre of music? Definitely not, no. Am I saying that someone needs to make a hyperpop remix of the Crazy Frog? Definitely yes. But I find it funny how despite how popular this music has become, it's still criticized a lot in kind of a similar way that the Crazy Frog was criticized. I mean, there are a lot of differences because the Crazy Frog has become just like this global meme basically, and these songs aren't created with the intention to advertise something, and so on. You get the point. So what's up with the Crazy Frog today? Yes, this little blue dude does still have a fan following, sort of. You would think that no one would care, but their Twitter account is still active. People still make fan art of the Crazy Frog. The Twitter account retweets stuff in regards to its own meminess and its controversy that it had in the past. An article I found on Vice by Josh Baines covered the fandom of the Crazy Frog in 2016. They dug up a lot more than expected. They found renditions of the Crazy Frog cover to look like an Aerosmith cover. Yeah, I don't know. More memes about the meme, of course. And Rule 34. Yeah. Apparently a Crazy Frog Christmas album exists, so... yeah, I don't know, my style, my taste is kind of niche. There's this album, I don't really know if you heard of it before. It's the Crazy Frog Christmas album. We've also all seen that meme of that skinny white dude with the glasses dancing to Crazy Frog. Here's a picture of him today, if that's at all exciting. I've seen the little guy pop up, as in the blue guy, the main Crazy Frog guy. I've seen him pop up on some memes I see on Twitter every now and then. But one thing that stood out to me was that whoever runs the Crazy Frog Twitter account made the bold decision to tweet out a photo. This is a trigger warning, by the way, mentions of suicide. Of the Crazy Frog hanging himself on July 1st, 2020. Yes, in the middle of a global pandemic, this is the time they thought we're gonna make a comeback in a very aggressive way. Weird timing, right? I thought so too. They have since deleted that, sent out apology, that's also been deleted, but that's the main thing that I have heard of them since. So what is the point of all of this? I honestly don't know. I think I just completely blacked out while writing this. I've been possessed by the Crazy Frog himself, and there's no coming back. The Crazy Frog meme, although mostly dead, will live on in its nostalgia. Did it influence the music of today? I don't know if I'm qualified to make that claim. I'm not saying no, just presenting you the facts for you to judge for yourself. And that about wraps it up for today's first episode. Yeah, that was a lot. My next episode, I plan on having a super special secret guest to talk to you about the Crazy Frog, drinking out of cups video, and more. So stay tuned for more meme talk coming your way. Thank you so much for listening to my nonsense. You are extra appreciated and loved today. Once again, please follow, subscribe, whatever to whichever platform you prefer to use. I'm on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and more. I'm all over the place, so there really is no excuse. Now, I have to go back to being the craziest frog of them all. Bye.
Bam, bam.